In this video we are going to discuss different filter use cases. So to start with, I'd like to have a look at the map filter. The map filter is useful to look up an attribute, and it is useful when dealing with lists of objects where you are only interested in a specific value. It allows you to search for. So if, for instance, the find module is used to find files, multiple attributes are shown and map can be used to filter just one of them. Map can work with optional arguments, such as the rel path function, which is useful in displaying file names relative to a directory. And notice that map returns a list by default. And to show the output of a single line, use the join filter as well. Let's have a look at some examples. So the example is in the filters directory in the Git repository. It has the name file map. And here we can see what it is all about. So let's go over it line by line. So if we have the host and the become and the other parameters. Basedir. So basedir is setting a variable with the name basedir. Var www.html is what it's about. Then it is installing HTTPD. That is making sure that we have a basedir directory. And it is showing basedir right here, just to make sure that we are okay. Next it is showing files in basedir, and you know what, in order to make sure, I need to make sure that we have this basedir installed. So Ansible on Ansible 2 -m file -a path is var www.html, state is directory. Oops, and I do require sudo password -k. And there we go, and we can see that the directory already existed. That is good. Now let's do a quick check, and I know I should be doing this with Ansible, but the thing is that the best way to do it with Ansible is by using some filters that we have not yet talked about. So I'm using ls on var www.html, and we need to make sure that there's a couple of files. So here's a couple of files. If you want this example playbook to work, make sure that at least you have a couple of files in the directory that you are investigating. Of course, feel free to do that using Ansible, or otherwise go for quick and dirty, as I've just done here. So here is where we get the interesting thing. So we have the find module, and the find module is showing paths, is showing files in the basedir directory. The result is registered in basedir files. That's for the simple reason that, as you know, in Ansible you don't typically see results while running the playbook. So if you want to see the result, you should put it in some variable. Here we are using debug to check on basedir files, and then the important part where we are going to show the files based on the map attribute path without a list. I am showing you how not to do it. So we are not doing it the right way by using setFact web files. On web files, we are looking for basedir files, which is the tier 2 variable that is created in basedir. And then we use map attribute is path. Now map attribute is path, that is something that you can only understand after looking at the basedir files variable, because path is an attribute in that variable, and we are using map to look up that specific attribute. Remember, that is what map is all about. Then you will see that this is not giving the desired result, and if we want to put it in the desired result, we need to pipe it through a list as well. And there we can see that this exactly is going to give us the list that we want to work with. We put that in a variable web files list, and there you could continue your playbook and make it more complicated and work on the specific list. Let's run it. So Ansible playbook on file map.yaml. There we go. And what do we see? Let's have a look at it. This is where we can see all the different files, and in all these different files that are found by the find module. So this is the result of the find module, and I'm picking out just one of them. One of the attributes is path. And as you can see, this is a lot to read, and that is probably not what you want. So here you can see without the list, and without the list you are getting this generator object do map at whatever. That's not really meaningful. The meaningful part is here where we are combining the map filter with a list filter as well. And that is showing a list of files, and this list of files, well, that is what you can use in a loop, for instance. And that brings you close to what previously was done with Ansible with files. Let's go have a look at the next filter. So the next filter that we are going to explore is flatten. Flatten recursively searches list items and flattens them into one list. And that is useful when getting multiple items out of a hierarchical list. And you can have a look at plot.yaml for a simple example. So here we have the example. And what do we see? We see a complex list. And in this complex list, we have a variable whatever, and in a variable whatever, we have a tier 1 list, province, which are provinces in my beautiful country. And in there we have a tier 2 list, which is showing the cities. And next we want to produce a flat list from the nested structure. Now, how are we going to do that? Well, we loop over whatever, and we look at map attribute is cities, and then we send it to flatten. And the result is as follows. Where you can see that every single city in this case is printed one by one. Now, how is this useful? This is useful if you are analyzing a complex variable that has a list of lists and you want to put out a specific tier list. And that is how you can see that we have combined map to look up the specific attribute and flatten to make it flat. Hey, maybe it helps if we have a look at it without the pipe flatten behind it. So what is going to happen in that case? Well, in that case, this is what you are going to see. And invalid data passed to the loop, and it just doesn't understand it. So we do really need the flatten to be inserted at the end to generate the appropriate list. So there we go again, and now it's working again. All right, next example. Let's have a look at sub-elements. So sub-elements is a filter that allows you to create a new list that is based on sub-elements in complex data structures. So a sub-element is a list within a list, and while using sub-elements, the top level item in the list is referred to as item.0, and the second level item is referred to as item.1. That's really something in the syntax that you need to pay attention to. And I have dbvars.yaml and dbuser.yaml for an example. Let's go explore. All right, first I'd like you to have a look at dbvars. So this is dbvars, where we can see a variable dbuserperms with a list username and a list dbaccess. So these variables need to be used as inputs to provide a user access to certain databases. Now, if we have a look at dbuser, and I'm putting it on one screen to make it easier to see the relations, then we can see that we go over the contents of dbvars. And I'm just using debug to keep it simple, because the purpose here is to give you insight in how it is working. So in the debug, I'm printing a message, adding user item.0 username and granting permissions item.1 star.all. And the point here is that it is going to grant the user permissions to the appropriate databases. So we should see that Linda is getting access to books and video, and Anna is getting access to staff and addresses. Then we loop over the contents of the variable dbuserperms, and sub-elements is what is getting the access. So sub-elements, as you can see, sub-elements is dbaccess. And the sub-element dbaccess is really looking and iterating over the different databases here, and not over the different users. And that is a secret of sub-elements. So let's run it, Ansible playbook on dbuser.yaml, and there we go. And you can see that Linda is indeed getting to books and videos, and Anna is getting access to staff and addresses. So this is something that you can easily use to populate the MySQL database with the appropriate permissions, for instance. So the last filter I'd like to have a look at here is dict to items, which is converting a dictionary to items. Why would you want to do that? For the simple reason that you cannot use loop over a dictionary. So you need dict to items to transform a dictionary into a list and allow looping over it. Let's check it out. So here we have dict to items. And what do we see? We see a variable users that is organized dictionary style. And we have Lisa and shell and groups and Anna and shell and groups, and then create users. What is happening if we do that without the dict to items? Let's remove it. Then you can see, well, item, but probably you can already guess. An item needs a loop. So what is the loop in this case? That can only give us an error because there is no loop. Apart from the fact that we are missing a sudo password on Ansible 1, but that's not really what matters. What matters here is invalid data passed to loop, and it is quite gentle. It requires a list. Got this instead. And hint: if you pass a list dict of just one, well, this is not really helpful. The hint, so we really need that filter dict to items. So here we go. Dict to items, and that should convert our dictionary into a list. And as you can see, that is working so much better. So this is what I wanted to show you.